Recorded March 28th, 1967 in London. That's Fire on 105.9 The Big Kahuna, Honolulu's only classic rock, and our second annual Jimi Hendrix Day special. I'm Dave Lawrence. How are you? Glad you're listening. That was a special live-in-studio version of Fire from the BBC Sessions Jimi Hendrix Experience 2-CD set. We also heard the classic recording of Star Spangled Banner that was done August 18th, 1969 in Bethel, New York, and is on the 2-CD Live at Woodstock release. And we opened up that chunk of Jimi with an alternate take of Purple Haze, recorded January 11th, 1967 in London, and never released until the recent 4-CD Jimi Hendrix Experience box set. We'll return to that fascinating archive of Jimi later during this 2-hour Jimi Hendrix career retrospective, and some of that box set material recorded right here in Hawaii. But next, the first of the three producers of the Jimi Hendrix Experience Live at Berkeley CD. And following this exclusive Big Kahuna interview, two separate in-concert recordings from different incarnations of Jimi live. Both trios, both ferocious. Those musical odysseys are ahead after guest number one. If you missed Jimi's little sister Janie earlier today, this is what it sounded like. I'm pleased to welcome, as part of our Jimi Hendrix Day special, not only one of the producers of the new Jimi Plays Berkeley, but Jimi's sister and the CEO and president of Experience Hendrix, the very core of the organization. It's with great pleasure that I introduce Janie Hendrix to the airwaves of 105.9. Hey, Janie.
Hey, Dave. How you doing?
I'm very good. It's a thrill to speak with you. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Oh, well, thank you. I wish I were in Hawaii.
That's certainly a wish of mine. Where are you right now? In Seattle?
Seattle.
Okay, cool. I want to kind of set the stage for people listening because I think a lot of Hendrix fans have heard your name over the last decade and maybe want to understand your connection to Jimi. I know you were 9 when he passed away.
Yes, I was 9, September 18th, 1970. Basically, in 1992, after discovering that we didn't have the rights, my father and I had went to court, and after 2.5-year battle, we were able to reclaim the rights that we always thought we had. And then in 95, once there was a settlement, then Experience Hendrix was born. What
was the role that John McDermott and Eddie Kramer played in the process of you getting back the rights? Those are the two guys who join you in producing these records that Experience Hendrix releases.
Well, as you know, Eddie was Jimi's engineer back in the days when he was alive, and Jimi selected him to be his engineer because of his expertise and his perfectionism. So he helped to provide a lot of knowledge to the attorneys, because when we did get some of the tapes back, sadly, some of them were like second, third generation, and then we had to go search for the original masters. And that's where John McDermott came in when we were in litigation, because he is a historian, and he knew where tapes were. He had studied the history of Jimi, so he knew where the old administration had left things, and we were able to retrieve a lot of the original masters even after we got our rights back.
Jimi Hendrix personally wanted Eddie Kramer to be there when he was doing all of his work. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. He was the engineer at Electric Lady. He was an integral part of the recordings, and if Jimi said, I want this to sound blue, then he would make the sound blue. If he wanted a certain sound or an effect, Eddie would work day and night trying to figure out how to get certain effects. Jimi play it forward, and then they record it backwards. I mean, they worked as a team, making sure that Jimi got what he wanted. Tell
everyone, Janie, about the Dagger Records and why that exists.
Actually, Dagger Records came about from a conversation that my dad and I had with Carlos Santana, and he said one day, well, there's so many bootlegs out there, and it would be really great if you guys could bootleg the bootleggers. I mean, you have to have a lot of tapes in the vault, and so that's how Dagger Records came about.
Yeah, it's a great thing that is online and at your site, JimiHendrix.com. I encourage people to go there and take a look at the section relating to Dagger Records. And if I could also give your site another plug, I'm very grateful that you guys have included the 2-hour radio special from our last Jimi Hendrix Day on your website, that people can go there and listen to the Big Kahuna's 2-hour broadcast.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Well, we try to, we're very appreciative of the fans, and the fans are who keep the legacy alive. And we just keep putting the music out that Jimi already created.
And now you're at Berkeley. Jimi Plays Berkeley. How do you come to pick what you're going to do next, Janie? You're like in a candy store with the ultimate candy.
Well, as far as Berkeley went, there's never before heard music on there, as well as the DVD. We can't put it out all at once.
It's great. We get little doses. I always anxiously await whatever the next thing is. And even though I know John McDermott really well and he's a great friend, I try to like keep the information so that it's a surprise for me when we get close to the actual release. Where do you store all these goodies, Janie, if I may ask?
I couldn't tell you otherwise. Actually, it's in a temperature-controlled vault.
Wow.
It's in a huge vault.
And do you go there and like just hang out in the room with all the stuff?
When we need tapes, yes.
There's stuff in that room that Jimi himself was holding and touching and stuff, right?
Sure, absolutely. And sometimes it is eerie, to pick up a tape box and there's his handwriting on it.
What's the eeriest moment you've had in there, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, actually, when we were working on the Fillmore East project,
okay,
we had the tape running in the Electric Lady Studios, and Eddie was at the board. And on the tape, Billy walks into the room. And in real life, Billy Cox walked into the room. And it was like, whoa.
Wow.
Everybody just stood for a second because everybody got chills. It was like you couldn't have planned it. You couldn't have synchronized it.
That's a great memory. Do you have any pictures of you and Jimi, Janie?
Yeah.
I'd love to get a copy of a picture with you and Jimi if there's
okay,
any.
I can email you one.
I've seen them in my life, but just it would be different now that I've gotten to speak with you. Finally, before I let you go, and I am very grateful for your time to get to speak with you like this in a very candid way, I was wondering if there was any particular memory you could share with me of you with Jimi as a child, just anything that sticks out of being a kid with Jimi Hendrix around you.
Well, when I was 6 years old, I used to watch when Jimi would come to town, and it just didn't seem to me that he was taken care of very well by the people that were surrounding. And I remember we were sitting in these stools facing each other, which I'll get you that picture, but I said, when I grow up, I'm going to take care of you. And he said, well, until then, I'll take care of you and you won't have anything to worry about. And, of course, sadly, he passed away 3 years later, but here we are 30-some years later, and, 33 basically, and I'm taking care of him. Wow. Sadly, he's not here with us, but in spirit he is and through his music.
That's heavy duty. That's awesome, man. Janie Hendrix, the sister of Jimi Hendrix and CEO, president of Experience Hendrix. That's the label. JimiHendrix.com is their website. And Jimi Hendrix at the Berkeley Community Theater, May 30th, 1970, the new release. And also look for the 2LP Deluxe Vinyl Edition that's coming out next month. Is that correct?
Yes.
Awesome. Janie Hendrix, a pleasure having you on 105.9 The Big Kahuna.
Thank you, Dave, very much. Hi, this is Janie Hendrix of Experience Hendrix, Jimi's little sister, and you're listening to Dave Lawrence